Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us. Good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you're joining us from. So getting started with query building, this is the first session of our Boolean Bootcamp. It's the second edition of the Boolean Bootcamp that we are organizing. We organized the first one last year, and our users found it very useful, so we decided to make this a regular event. So as you already know, there will be a series of 3 sessions happening this week and next week as well. So I really hope you can attend the 3 of them. And if you have an impediment, you can still register and we will send you the recordings. The session of today, getting started. And then we will continue on Thursday, take things further, and we will finish next week with a focus on fine-tuning. The final goal of the Boolean Bootcamp is to make you an expert query builder. We know this is very often one of the main pain points when you build a new social media listening project. So by the end of these sessions, we'll make sure that you are fully autonomous in building new queries or optimizing maybe the queries that you already have on your platform. For those who don't know us already, it's just a quick introduction about your guest today. So my name is Anka Matei. I lead the customer education team at Digimind, based in Paris. I've been with Digimind for over 6 years now. And I have my colleague Oliver with me today. Hi, Oliver.
Hi, everyone. Really happy to be with you this morning. I'm a learning experience designer at Digimind, based here in Paris too.
Okay, so also before we get started, a few rules. So you probably noticed you are all muted. However, we do want you to engage, so don't hesitate. If you have any comments, any questions, you can write them in the questions box in the GoToWebinar app. And also you are going to use the questions to answer the quizzes. You'll see we prepare some quizzes throughout this session. Also, if you miss something, don't worry. We're going to send you the replay of the session. You are going to receive also the slides, so you can always revisit the content that we're going to share with you today. We're going to send also a satisfaction survey at the end. So let us know what you thought of this session, what we could do better next time. And last but not least, we have prepared an access for you to a training platform. You will have access until the 21st of June. And you can practice there. Feel free to experiment, write queries. Feel free to make mistakes. I know that this is something that you cannot always do on your platform because you probably have a quota of mentions or a quota of queries. So you will have access to this a safe environment where you can play, make mistakes, and put into practice everything that we are going to share with you during these sessions. Okay, so what have we prepared for today? We're going to start first of all with seeing what is a query. For those of you that maybe are just getting started, we're going to see what is the role of queries in social media listening. And then Oliver will share with you some best practices for finding the right search keyword. So this is always the first step when you need to write a new query, making sure that you have identified the right keywords for your search. We're going to cover next the main Boolean operators, or and not. These are the ones that you are going to use most of the times. And then we are going to end with covering the parentheses. This is probably the last building block in this getting started session. So we're going to see how to use the parentheses. And then we're going to practice. We have prepared a use case for you. And as I was saying before, after the session, you will have access to our training platform and you can practice there. So let's get started. And what is a query? Basically, a query is an instruction that will tell search engines such as Digimind what words to look for in a conversation when crawling the web. And even though you might be new to social media listening, every time you are running a Google search, you're basically writing a query. However, on Google search, or I don't know, could be YouTube, could be LinkedIn, when you're searching for something, you will look only at the first page of results or only the first results. While in Digimind Social, all the results that match your search, we are going to collect them in the platform, and you are going to analyze them. So it's very important to have clean data, not to have any noise. So this is why the queries that you're going to build for your social media listening project are going to be more complex than a simple Google search. And something that I find very useful whenever I have to explain the role of queries, you can think of them as a shopping list. Basically, if you are going to ask someone to do the shopping for you, you have to make sure that that list is complete, is precise. So this is exactly the same role this query will play. So your queries are going to contain, first of all, keywords, such as the name of your brand or competitor, the name of your competitors, name of products, the name of your marketing campaigns, marketing slogans, hashtags associated to your campaigns. You can also search for market trends, for the name of your founders, of the CEO. And of course, this depends on the use case that you have. Do you want to monitor the reputation of your brand? Do you want to find influencers? Do you want to see what's going on the market? But usually these are the keywords that you're going to include in your queries. And then in order to make these instructions precise and clear for Digimon, you're going to use the Boolean operators or logical operators. So the most commonly used ones are or and not. That we are going to cover today. We're going to see also how to use quotation marks, how to use parentheses. And in the next session on Thursday, we are going to see also which are the more advanced operators that you can use in Digimind. So we have the wildcard operators, we have proximity, we have exact match. So these are operators that can help you take things further. Okay, so I'm going to let Oliver now show you how to find the keyword. So the first step in building your query.
Thank you very much. And let's get started with the keywords. So the first step in constructing your queries is identifying all those search keywords that are relevant for your monitoring project. Now, keep in mind that this isn't just going to be a single word that relates to your brand or campaign. There's a whole host of things you need to think about to make sure that you're capturing all the relevant keywords that are found on social media. So, first of all, you'll need to add all the synonyms for your keywords. So, for example, if you're searching for Marks and Spencer, you might include alternative spellings for Marks and Spencer using the ampersand or the initials. Equally, if you're searching for the Olympic Games, you may think of different ways of talking about the Olympic Games, Paris Olympics, Olympics 2024, for example. Following that, you'll want to add hashtags and @ signs. Digimind recognizes hashtags and ats as distinct keywords, so you'll need to include all those that are relevant to your monitoring. So, for example, Pepsi and hashtag Pepsi are distinct keywords, and @Pepsi and @Pepsi France are distinct keywords. It's worth remembering here that ats will not return mentions, from the brand's accounts, but mentions that are directed at it. So mentions that the public are making at a brand will be captured with the at sign. Make sure if your keywords includes an acronym, that you're also searching for the full name. So NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization, or sorry, we'll go back, Jeux Olympiques, JO. So vice versa. Make sure that you're including both the acronym and the full spelling to make sure you're capturing all those mentions. And make sure as well that you include frequent misspellings. So, for example, Gillette here is often misspelled, incorrect number of L's and T's. So make sure you're thinking about how people are misspelling those brands in a common way. And then, of course, if you're monitoring across different languages, make sure you're translating the specific keywords into all the languages that your project is monitoring. So, for example, if you're searching for bicycle in English, bicicletta in Italian, and velo in French. Remember that keywords are not case sensitive, so there'll be no difference between uppercase and lowercase. So if you're capitalizing your brand name, it will return the same results as if you hadn't. So Pepsi with capital letter and Pepsi with a lowercase letter will return the same. And by default, special characters will be ignored. So accents, hyphens, apostrophes, they won't be taken into account when you're searching on Digimind. So Hermes will capture the same as Hermes, and pret-à-porter again will capture the same as pret-à-porter. If you're looking for multiple word search phrases, use quotation marks, and this way Digimind will only bring back the results containing the exact phrase. So if you're searching for Bill Gates, for example, use question marks. The reason why we need to use question marks here is because if we don't, the Digimind will find those words in any order. So, for example, Bill Gates without question marks here will find the tweet below in which Bill Gates is mentioned, but the wrong way around. Use quotation marks also if you want to return mentions that do include the special characters like hyphens and apostrophes. So here, for example, L'Oreal, if we use the quotation marks, here we'll return L'Oreal spelt with its correct special characters. Okay, so we'll do a quick quiz now. So if you answer A, B, or C, and if you share your answers with me by responding in the questions box in which you should have on your GoToWebinar console, which of the following mentions here will be collected by monitoring the keyword at Air France? Keeping in mind what you've learned about what at will collect. Okay, a few answers have come in. Okay, most people have captured the right answer, and that is that Digimind in this situation will collect A. Please give me back my suitcase at Air France. And that's because this is capturing mentions that have been directed at Air France and not mentions that have been directed, that have been created by Air France itself. So remember, at will only collect mentions directed at a brand or account. Okay, next question. So if you want to monitor the keywords below, select those that have the correct format. So this is a question about the use of quotation marks and returning exact multiple word search phrases. So again, if you put your answer into the question panel on your console, excellent. A few answers have come in, and yep, most people are getting it right. It's B. So we'll be, if we want to monitor the keywords below, because it's a multiple word search, we'll need to include Olympic Games within quotation marks in order to return exactly that phrase. The Olympics 2024 is already quite a complex string, and it's one word essentially, so that won't actually need quotation marks. And Paris 2024, that could return Paris 2024 in any order, so it won't be relevant to the search that you're making. Okay. Okay, moving on now to the Boolean operators in a bit more detail. Boolean operators can be used to expand or narrow searches. To expand our searches, we can use the Boolean operator or to narrow our searches, we can use the operators and or not. These will make it more precise and remove any noise. So the OR operator helps you to expand your monitoring by including additional keywords. So for example, Pepsi or 7-Up will include Pepsi, 7-Up, and Pepsi and 7-Up. It will include all mentions that include either Pepsi, 7-Up, or Pepsi and 7-Up. So for example, the OR operator will collect all of these mentions here because we can see that Pepsi is included, 7-Up's included, and there's a mention here with Pepsi and 7-Up. Not will again will help to narrow our searches. So Pepsi, 7-Up, Pepsi and 7-Up. So it will only collect those mentions in which Pepsi is included, not 7-Up. So we can see here that any mentions of 7-Up are excluded from the results. And so Pepsi and 7-Up will only collect those mentions where Pepsi and 7-Up are included at the same time. So single mentions of Pepsi or 7-Up will not be included. Only mentions where Pepsi and 7-Up are both mentioned. So in these examples, the first one won't be included because 7-Up is not mentioned, only Pepsi. Second one, only 7-Up is mentioned and not Pepsi. But the third one, in which Pepsi and 7-Up are both mentioned, that will be included in your results. Okay, short quiz now, just to test yourself on the operators. So if you want to monitor conversations about either of the two sports competitions, select the correct query. So either of the two sports competitions. If you include your answers in the answers in the questions panel, so in fact here This is a tricky one. In fact, B is the right answer, swimming or gymnastics, because we are wanting to look for either of the sports competitions. So swimming and gymnastics. Swimming or gymnastics. If swimming and gymnastics was included, was being searched for, we'd have to search for all. It would collect all mentions where swimming and gymnastics are mentioned. So B is correct here. It will collect either of the two sports competitions. In the second question, which of the following mentions below will be collected by the query Patagonia, not Argentina? Okay, a few answers. In fact, in this one, the query will collect both A and C, because we don't want to include Argentina in our results. So both A and C include Patagonia, but not Argentina. So that will return, so this query will return both A and C. So I hope that's made, oh, sorry, we've got another question here. So which of the two diagrams below illustrate the query Air France and Ryanair and EasyJet? Give you a few more seconds just to include your answers. Yeah, most people are getting this right. So it's A, because we are only looking for mentions that include all three mentions, so Air France, Ryanair, and EasyJet. B would be or, because it's looking for all mentions, whereas A is looking for and, where all three are mentioned together. Okay, so I'm going to hand back over to Anka now, who's going to take a look at using parentheses with you. So thanks very much.
The last skill that you'll need to master, the last basic skill that you'll need to master to write queries is knowing how to use parentheses. Some of the most common errors that we see actually have to do with misplaced parentheses or missing parentheses. In order to know when to use and how to use parentheses, you can think of mathematics. So this is another analogy that will be very useful. Think of mathematical calculus. So whenever you have the same operation, we are not going to use parentheses. So in the first one, we are adding these values. In the second one, we're multiplying, we're subtracting. So whether we use parentheses or not, it will not change anything in the results. And it's the exact same thing when you have a query where you use just one operator. So maybe you have only a series of synonyms with or, you're looking for conversations that contain at least one of these keywords. Or maybe you have a very precise query like this one, where when you have 5 conditions that have to simultaneously be respected. Or maybe you just have a query where you're only using the not operator. So in all of these 3 cases, you don't need to use parentheses. When the operator is the same, okay, no parentheses. It's very easy. When you should, however, when you have, just like in mathematics, when you have different operations, the parentheses can completely change the results. So we have the same values, the same operations above and below. However, the fact that we have used parentheses in the second operation completely changes the result. The same thing is true for your Boolean queries. So whenever you have a query where you have used different operators and or not, these might be queries where you need to use parentheses. And in order to know, should I use parentheses or not, first of all, it's important to know how the query will be interpreted by default. So if you don't use parentheses, what will happen, so let's take here the AND operator, it will apply to the word before and the word right after. So basically, we are looking for results that contain keyword 1 and keyword 2. And then the AND stops here. The same with not, for example, it will apply, we're excluding here keyword 5, but only with respect to keyword 4, the one that comes before. So if this is what you want to achieve with your query, very good, you don't need parentheses. However, if you want to change this, and imagine I would love to have and applied not only to keyword 2, but only to keyword 3. So it's here that parentheses come into play. So if I want, if I can say so, to expand the powers of the AND operators beyond keyword 2, I will have to place these two keywords between parentheses. So I'm changing the way the query will be read by default, and I'm going to have results that contain keyword 1 and keyword 2. So both of these keywords, and also results that contain keyword 1 and keyword 3. So the second scenario when we will be collecting. So this is possible thanks to parentheses. The same with not. So I was saying before, without parentheses, I'm excluding keyword 5, but only with respect to keyword 4. However, if I would like to exclude it from my entire query, the way to do that is with parentheses. Something else that can be very useful to keep in mind when you are writing your query. Very often queries, regardless of the topic that you are monitoring, have this structure. So you're going to have the keywords that you want to monitor. These are the ones that, as Oliver explained before, so you'll add all the synonyms, you will add the hashtags, you'll add the social account handles, the name of the campaigns, the name of the founders. These are the keywords that you want to monitor. And then whenever these keywords, maybe there is some ambiguity. So very often you will have to add also context keywords to make the search more precise, more narrow. So this you will achieve with the end of the with the help of the AND operator. And then very often, especially as we fine tune, as we optimize the query, you will realize that there are some keywords that you need to exclude with the help of the not operator. So the parentheses will be there to help you group these words. So you will have your monitor keywords between parentheses, you will have your context keywords between parentheses, and the exclusion keywords. Okay, so if I have to, let's say I want to monitor a query, I want to monitor the brand Patagonia. So the name of the brand, their hashtag. These are my monitored keywords. I will place them between parentheses. And I know this can create confusion because there is also the region in South America. So I need to use the AND to associate these to some context keywords. So again, words such as clothes, clothing, gear, jacket, backpack. So I will have to place them between parentheses to make sure that the AND applies to each of them. And then maybe I use the not to say not Argentina, not Chile. So again, I will place my my exclusions between parentheses. So finding the way my query will look like when I will write it in Digimind, it will be like this. So the keywords monitored, the context, and the exclusions between parentheses. You can, just as a quick recap, so we've seen parentheses they will help you group together several keywords to make sure that the operator that you are using applies to all of them. We've seen the structured, monitored keywords, context keywords, excluded terms, so keep that in mind. And it's possible also to use multiple parentheses, parentheses within parentheses. Whenever you do this, sometimes queries can be quite complex depending on the topic that you are monitoring. So whenever you have multiple parentheses, keeping track of them can be a bit tricky. What could be useful in this case, if you have in your project a query such as this, it could be useful to copy and to paste it in a Word document or in a note, and to place every new bracket on your new paragraph. So it will be easier to understand, easier to read, and easier to fine tune. So this is how we also work whenever we have to optimize a query that is larger, that is more complex. Okay, so I have prepared also some questions to practice. So imagine you want to monitor, so we have here two sports, tennis and badminton. And I want to see what's going on in the context of the Olympics. Which of these three queries would be the correct one? So if I want to have results either about tennis or about badminton during the Olympics. So you can add your answer A, B, or C in the questions space. Okay, and I see that almost everyone has the correct answer. Okay, so is C correct? So we have here our monitored keyword is the Olympics, and then we have the context. Oh, sorry, I see there is actually a mistake here. Instead of tennis and badminton. Okay, so we changed the question, but this one stayed. So the correct one, imagine here we have tennis and badminton. So this is the correct one. We are grouping the context keywords together. So the first ones are not correct. In the first one, badminton will collect by itself, so we will have any questions about badminton. So not necessarily connected to the Olympics. And the same, actually the first ones will bring you the same results. So C is the correct answer. Okay. Now, very similar to the first question, and here we have added a synonym. So we have Olympics, we have also Olympic Games, and the same, we want results either about tennis or about badminton. Okay. Okay, I see everybody got the correct answer. So it's B, the correct answer. We have used parentheses to group the monitored keywords and to group the context as well. Okay, very often, and this is a mistake we see often. Very often we place parentheses after the end or after the not, but we forget what comes before. Okay, so this is all for the theoretical part. Now let's see in practice how to add a new query in Digimind Social. Actually, there are three different ways of adding a query in Digimind. And also it's possible to import queries if you let's say you have several queries that you would like to import at once. But during our Boolean Bootcamp, we're going to cover the two that are most commonly used. So we have, you can build a query using AI. We have launched this feature last year. So this, we're going to see this can be very helpful, a great starting point to find all the keywords, to get some inspiration. You can use the Boolean query builder. We're going to use it in a few minutes. And there's also the simple query builder that can be interesting to use for someone who's just getting started. But because we are training here to be expert query builders, we're going to see how to create the query in the advanced query builder. And the example that we're going to take, so because we are based in Paris and because we have the Olympics that are approaching this summer, so the use case that we imagined is we will build a query that will monitor. We want results about the upcoming Olympics. Before building this query and before adding any new query in your platform, there are a few prerequisites that you have to do, that we recommend you to do. First of all, is going to data usage. We're going to see how, and checking how many queries are included in your quota. Checking also which is your monthly quota of mentions. So this is very important. Unless you are on a platform that has unlimited queries and limited monthly mentions. So this is something that you have to take into account before launching a new monitoring. Something else that can be useful and we recommend you to do before is to use the historical search module in order to test the query. So before saving it, before launching the monitoring, can be very useful to test it. And this will give you a rough idea about the volume of mentions that could be collected. So you'll have a rough estimate. And also you will see some examples. You will see, okay, what kind of mentions I would have gotten from this query in the past 30 days if you are using the free version of the module. So let me go to the platform. Okay. So I'm logged here. This is the practice platform that you're going to have access to as well. So I'm saying before creating a new query, check data usage. So you can do that if you have administrator rights on your platform. You can go to data usage. And in case you don't see this option, you can just check with your account manager or maybe check with the administrator of the Digimind platform in your company, and they can give you all the information about your plan. So here you see data usage. I can see how many queries I can add and how many mentions I can collect every month. So we are on an unlimited plan here. And then below I can see, okay, how many we are using and how many mentions. So based on this, you can judge whether your platform supports a new query or not. Okay, and also can give you an idea of the scope of your query if you need to write a narrow search, or you can have a larger one. Okay, I was saying also that before saving the query, you can use the search bar, so the historical module here, to test your query. So I'm just taking for the Olympics. Imagine I just put Paris 2024. Okay. And here I have so all languages, all countries, and I can see that only in the last 30 days, I can expect almost 300,000 mentions, and the event didn't start yet. So this can give me an idea. If let's say you are on a limited mentions plan, you can collect 50,000 mentions per month. This is an indication that you will run out of mentions, so you will need to create a more narrow query. And if I want to see some examples, I can come here in mentions. So I get to test the query before saving it. Now, imagine I check the data usage. I can add a query. I've checked the past results as well. And now I'm ready to create the query. So to do that, you need to have editor rights. And by clicking on the cog button here, edit the topic. This will take you to the settings of your topic, okay? So it's here where you're going to, first of all, select the language. In my case, I will keep English, and let's say I want to have conversations from all over the world. So I will not select a specific country. And I will select the sources. So I can select them one by one, or I can say, okay, all the sources, news, blogs, forums, and all the social media platforms that you have here. Okay. Now to add a query, I will click here, add a query. And I will start by giving a name to this query and adding the main keyword. And then I will click on enrich my query. And it's from here that you can choose, okay, how do you want to build your query? I recommend you to use the AI generator. So it's a great starting point. So let's say I select enrich my query using AI. I have to say, is this a brand that I want to monitor, or it's a theme? So in this case, will be a theme. Here I can select languages, but they have to match the scope. So I've selected English, I will keep English here, and I click on generate. Okay, so I have here a first suggestion. So I see the different synonyms that people will use when referring to the Olympics. Of course, this is just a starting point. So starting from here, you can develop this query, you can optimize it, you can adapt it to your needs. And if you click here, you can see all the operators that you can use when building your query. However, what I'm going to do, so I'm going to select, so we're going to see also how to build a query from scratch. So I will select here Boolean Query Builder. So you see here, we are going to write the query. And during these sessions, we've seen how to find the keywords and how to use the Boolean operators. So let me go back to the slides just for a moment. Okay, so just as Oliver showed you at the beginning, the first step will finding all the keywords. So I will think of all the synonyms, the hashtag, the social account handles. So we have people who will talk about the Olympic Games or Paris 2024. Some might just say the games. If I want to monitor in French as well, I will have also to find the synonyms in French. So we have Jeux Olympiques, JO, les Jeux. So this is the first step. Then I have to think, have to ask myself, is there any ambiguity? Are some of these synonyms, do they have more than one meaning? And some of them are very specific. However, the games can refer to the Olympics, but can refer to something else. The same leisure, or we call it, we refer to them here in France, Jo, which can also be a name, Joe. So for these terms, because there is ambiguity, what we will need to do is to be more precise, define the context. And we have seen today that you can do that using the and operator. So we could say the games or les jeux, JO, and associate them to words such as Paris, mascot, torch, medal, for example. Okay. Then we also have to ask ourselves, is there something that I want to exclude? Are there some conversations that don't concern me? So imagine I don't want to collect any conversation about people talking about reselling their tickets or buying a ticket. So I can use the not operator and exclude keywords such as revente, resell, or phrases such as buy a ticket. Where can I buy a ticket? I want to resell my ticket. So these will be my exclusions. And last step, as we saw, with the help of parentheses, we're going to put all these elements together and we're going to build the query. So going back to the platform, okay, so I have here Paris 24, so I will use or operator. When you add the operators, they have to be in uppercase. For the keyword, it doesn't matter, lowercase, uppercase, but for the operators, it has to be in uppercase, okay? So we're adding the hashtags, we're adding the @ handle, Olympics. So we've seen the games, people who just talk about the games. So here I'll have to place this between quotation marks, make sure that the words appear together. And I'm going to use the AND operator. Okay, which are the context keywords that I could use? Well, could be medal, could be Paris. Okay, of course, there are many other keywords that I could use, but since we don't have a lot of time, I will just add here, let's say torch. And then I have the not operator. Okay, and imagine I want to exclude any conversation that contain the keyword ticket or resell. Okay, and I want to exclude this from all the keywords, so I'm going to place everything before in a parenthesis. Okay, so during the second session, we're going to take this further. So we are going to introduce more advanced operators, so we can see how you can further optimize this query. For the moment, I'm just going to click on next. And this will help you preview. So here you have some preliminary results. We are not going to collect this query, so don't worry, you're not using mentions from your quota, okay? It just helps you test, so I can go back and modify if I'm not happy with the results, or I can click on save. Okay, so I see now my query appearing here. I will click on OK. And very important, don't forget, when you add a new query, very often we forget clicking on the OK button that is at the right at the bottom of the page. So unless you do that, your query will not be saved. So make sure you click on the final OK. And the query is now saved. Okay. It can take a few minutes for it to appear here. It's normal. It will show up once the first mentions have been collected. So time for you to take a coffee and then come back to check the first results. Okay, so this is just the first, so this is the starting point. Building a query, it's a trial and error, and it requires several iterations. So you're going to start with first query, then you're going to look at the results and think of ways of how you can optimize it. And this is what we're going to do in the next 2 sessions. Also keep in mind that there is no such thing as a perfect query. It's more like finding the right balance. There are some projects where you care more about the quality of the data, so you will have a very narrow, very precise query. And there will be other projects when you just want to have a lot of quantity. Let's say you want to see what are the market trends at the moment. So you will care less about quality, but you just want to make sure that you're not missing out on anything. So it's finding the right balance for your project. And in order to practice, so as we promised from the beginning, throughout the Boolean Bootcamp, we want to give you access to a platform where you can try things, where you can build queries without being afraid of making mistakes or running out of mentions. So we have created an account for you. If you check the chat, you'll see you'll find the link towards this platform. We will also send it by email after, so you can find there your credentials. You can log in using this email address, so training@digimind.com, the password bootcamp24 exclamation point. So the credentials, you'll also receive them by email, and you have access until the 21st of June. Keep in mind, so you are all going to have access to the same practice environment. So you're also going to see each other's queries. So just be mindful of that. Avoid deleting the queries that maybe the others created, and feel free to practice. Okay, so thank you very much all for being here today. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for engaging with us. And I hope too that you will be able to join us also on Thursday. So we're going to talk about the more advanced Boolean operators that you can use, the wildcards, the exact match, proximity. And we're going to talk also about the common errors to avoid. So this is what we prepare for you in the next session. I hope you get the time to practice in the meantime. Thank you very much. Have a nice end of the day and see you on Thursday.
Thank you very much.